Remember the G87 M2 we reviewed last week? Well, this is its older, more talented sibling, the LCI G80 M3 Competition xDrive. A rather long name, but that's besides the point. And now we all know that one sibling who's a straight-A student, sings in the choir, and also just happens to be a beast on the rugby field. Just by the way. If that sibling were ever a car, they would be the M3 because it is truly an all-rounder. So in this video, we're going to explore its many talents. We're going to talk about its practicality, its features. We're going to take it on the road and talk about its driving dynamics. And then I'll tell you what it'll cost to own one. I also have a surprise interview at the end of the video, and you do not want to miss that one. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. Car Talks. Power, precision, performance. Now this M3 comp has been lent to us by BMW Sandton, so shout out to Eric, Ntsako, and the team at large for making this happen. Now back to the M3 and the actual reason why we're here to begin with. Now, I'm not particularly a fan of the Donald, but he is right about one thing.
And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car.
Well, amen to that. Unfortunately, the M3 has the fire-breathing S58 monstrosity of an engine. But more on that later. Those of you who've been following the channel for a while will probably know that I've had the G23 series for almost 4 years now, which is finished in Portimao Blue. Fantastic color, by the way, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but I'm starting to develop a bit of a palette for the grays now. And no one in the market makes better grays than BMW at the moment. So could the M3 be the next channel car? Well, I guess time and money will answer that question for us, but I really do want one. This particular example is finished in Skyscraper Grey, which is a respectable grey, but my favorite of the greys has to be Drive It Grey, which is an 18,000 Rand option on the M3. If I ever get another BMW, the only thing I know for sure is that it must be Drive It Grey. I remember seeing the press release of the G80 about 5 years ago and thinking, oh God, what have they done? They've gone and ruined such a perfect car. Look at that grille. But fast forward to today, now I want one more than ever. These modern BMWs have a way of growing on you over time. I mean, this just looks striking to me. The wheel arches are of course much wider than the regular 3 Series, and that gives the car a completely new stance. It looks like shoulders with 4 wheels. Moving on to practicality, you get 480 liters of boot capacity, which is identical to the normal 3 Series, despite this being all-wheel drive. The Audi RS4 Avant offers a slightly bigger boot at 495 liters, and I'm only mentioning the Avant because the RS4 only comes in station wagon form. However, if we're comparing apples with apples, the comparable M3 Touring gets an even bigger boot at 500 liters. The Mercedes-AMG C63 SC Performance has the smallest boot of the lot at 280 liters because of all of those batteries underneath the car. Even as a station wagon, the boot is not that much bigger at 320 liters, and therefore trailing behind the M3 and RS4 on practicality. Nevertheless, you do get a 40-20-40 rear seat split configuration on the M3. The tailgate is of course electric, which I believe is overkill for a sedan, but I suppose it does make life that much easier. Stepping into the rear, you get a red leather bench with black inlays, and of course, the M Sport seat belts. Now you don't get an armrest back here, but you do get ISOFIX anchor points to safely mount your child's seat. And speaking of safety, the 3 Series, which this is based on, gets a 5-star Euro NCAP rating. Not only do you get air vents, but the rear passengers can regulate their own temperature because the vehicle comes fitted with 3-zone climate control. Last but not least, you get 2 USB ports. As always, I'm 1.78 meters tall and I can sit comfortably behind my driving position. Sure, the M2 has a sleek silhouette, but the practicality of having those rear doors is a no-brainer for my lifestyle needs. Stepping into the front, you get the M3 nameplate on the door sills. You also get electrically adjustable M Sport seats with the iconic illuminated M3 badge. Ventilation is a 17,000 Rand option if you so wish. And as with the M2, the M carbon bucket seats are also a 95,000 Rand option in the M3, which will come in handy if you're planning on tracking your vehicle because they do offer more support when cornering. But the normal M Sport seats are more comfortable for everyday driving. And as someone who takes quite a few road trips a year, I would certainly opt for the normal M Sport seats. You get a 14.9-inch infotainment screen that comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a very high-definition 12.3-inch instrument cluster with crisp graphics. Now, these screens have always felt a bit dark and dingy, in my view at least, when BMW first attempted digital displays, so I quite welcome the new and improved screen. And whilst we're still on the topic of the infotainment system, the M3 gets 3 drive modes, which are namely Road, Sport, and Track. Track basically uplifts all of the driver assistance aids, which means you're left up to your own talents. But unlike the M2, the M3 is fitted with an all-wheel drivetrain. More interestingly though, you can toggle through the settings and select rear-wheel drive mode, but you must have the ESC turned off in order to engage this. So just for the purposes of demonstration, we will turn off the ESC. You can also dial up and down the level of intervention from the traction control system using a gradient from 1 through to 10. So you can basically slide up and down this gradient in order to precisely modulate the level of intervention you're most comfortable with. Now, before you start messing around with any of these settings on your brand new M3, I would highly recommend an advanced driving session. Otherwise, your M3 will end up here. Fortunately, BMW South Africa offer an advanced driving course at the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit. Moving right along, you get black roof lining, which gives the interior a premium look. This example has no sunroof, of course, and that's because it gets a carbon fiber roof as standard. On the M2 review, I had mentioned that I'd love to have the option of having a sunroof, and apparently now you can opt for one as a no-cost option. It'll add a bit more weight, but it does bring light into the cabin. The dashboard and center console are treated to carbon fiber as well, which looks incredible, so the interior is a lovely place to be in. You even get it on the steering wheel, which is now flat-bottomed for the LCI, with a 12 o'clock marker. Those pedal shifts feel great to the touch, and they're quite elongated so they can accommodate your entire hand. Also new on the facelift model are these futuristic-looking air vents, and maybe it's just a me problem, but the brushed aluminium around the air vents of the pre-facelift looked a touch more premium than these ones. But as these things go, BMW knows how to create quality interiors. This one has just under 17,000 kilometers on the clock, and yet everything feels solidly bolted together without any rattles or creaks. You get ample storage in the cubbyhole and center storage bin, which also happens to have a USB Type-C port inside of it. You get a wireless charger, a USB Type-A port, and a couple of cup holders. And now, for the part you're all here for, myself included, be warned, this has no soft limiter. So, you are joining me from the inside of the M3 Competition xDrive, and under the bonnet is the infamous S58, which is a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder petrol engine. And notably for the facelift, power has been bumped up to 390 kilowatts, up from 375 in the pre-LCI. The torque figure remains the same at 650 Newton meters. Power is sent to all 4 wheels via an 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox. It weighs a smidge under 1.9 tons and measures 4.8 meters in length. Ironically, this is about 17 millimeters longer than the iconic E39 M5. So basically, the M3 is now the M5, and the G87 M2 is now the E46 M3 size-wise. Which is why it kind of makes sense why BMW South Africa would use the M240i and of course the M2 to pay homage to the E33 series, or homage depending on which part of the world you're watching from. The M3 will do the 0 to 100 km/h sprint in a claimed 3.5 seconds, which is a very conservative number considering all of the performance. And maybe even a white lie, because this, to me, feels like a 2.9 second car to 100. At most 3 seconds dead. It's like a slingshot. You just point, shoot, and bam, there's 100 immediately. I still need to get a draggy for the channel to prove my claim, of course, but hopefully I'll have that when I review the M3 again. And no, I'm not driving in the middle of the road just for the fun of it. We are in South Africa, so of course I'm ducking and diving potholes in a neighborhood that has 50 million rand houses. Crazy. Peak torque arrives at 2,750 RPM all the way to 5,730 RPM. So the longer you put your foot down, the harder the vehicle pulls. Now the M2 is insanely fast for a rear-wheel driven car, and probably faster than any other car I've ever driven prior to it. But the M3's xDrive system is a couple of notches above that. It just hooks and goes. To cope with all of that performance, this unit is fitted with the optional 190,000 Rand carbon ceramic brakes. Those discs are a massive 400mm in front and 380mm in the rear. But if you're on a bit of a budget, you can always go for the normal steel brakes, which also have immense stopping power as seen in the M2 review. BMW have gone with staggered wheels for the M3 with 19-inch 275mm Pirelli P0 tires in front and 20-inch 285mm in the rear, which gives the vehicle the stability it needs to do what we just did. The M1 and M2 buttons found on the steering wheel are fully customizable to your heart's desires. So, for instance, you can have M1 configured for comfort and M2 to be the most hardcore and loudest version of the vehicle. The ZF gearbox comes with 3 settings to modulate the speed of your gear changes, with 1 being the softest and 3 giving you the most aggressive shifts. I was using setting number 2 on the M2, but I've dialed it all the way up to 3 on this one. I still think that setting number 2 is the perfect blend of sportiness and comfort. Nevertheless, number 3 is just hilariously violent. Claimed fuel consumption is 10.2 liters per 100 kilometers, and the numbers we saw were much higher because we were cooking. Other highlight features include blind spot monitoring with lane keep assist, a 360-degree camera, head-up display, and of course the Harman Kardon sound system. Before we get to pricing and the cost of ownership, we are still on the road to 10,000 subscribers. So if you're enjoying these videos, then do well to subscribe and become a part of the family. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so that you don't miss a single one of our epic reviews. Moving on to pricing, we don't have a non-competition M3 in South Africa, so the competition kicks off at 2.2 million rands. And it comes decently spec'd, to be honest. But if you're going to be tracking your M3, then you'll want to add the carbon bucket seats and the carbon ceramic brakes. The only other option I would add is the Dravid Grey, which comes in at 18,000 rands. So using the M3 comp without any optional extras, on finance, you can expect to pay 41,100 rands a month over 6 years at the current prime interest rate of 10.25% per annum. That's without a balloon payment, but if you do take out, say, a 30% balloon, then the installment would come down to 34,400 rands. But then you'd basically be married to the car. Insurance is risk profile dependent, and the cheapest quote I got was 6,100 rands. A full tank of petrol will cost you 1,300 rands at the current inland price of 95 octane for the 59-litre fuel tank, which would then bring your total cost of ownership to a massive 48,400 rands. Those are very sobering numbers indeed. I think I need to sell a kidney and my left eye. I can survive without both, seemingly. A decade or two ago, this level of performance was supercar territory. And even then, most OEMs were offering no-cost options to strip the vehicles of basic necessities such as aircon, radio, and cup holders to save as much weight as possible. Not to mention the fact that your insurance company only allowed you to drive the thing on weekends. And now you have all of that usable performance disguised in a four-door sedan with a motor plan, with electric seats, with enough space to haul your 3 kids to school. That is preposterous. In a world where C63 AMGs have 2-liter 4-cylinder engines, I think that puts the M3 squarely in the lead in this segment. Thanks to Eric and Ntsako once again for lending me the vehicle, and of course my co-driver Lay for being an absolute rock star. There's so much work that goes behind the scenes of reviewing a vehicle of this caliber, with multiple levels of approvals and clearances needed to even get access to review the vehicle. And understandably so, because there's reputational risk involved, and livelihoods are potentially at stake should anything go sideways. But I'm eternally grateful that the quality of the channel has been able to give us one foot in the door of opportunity, and that is all thanks to you guys who show up every week and watch these videos without fail. So thank you. Now, let's hear from the team that actually made today happen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am out at BMW Sandton, and in front of us is the rock star of the automotive world. Sir, please take it away. Introduce yourself and let us know, how does someone get a hold of you when they are looking for the M3?
Okay, Ntsako. I work at BMW Sandton. You can get me on WhatsApp or cell phone on 071 538 5806. You can get me on Instagram at Ngamla7. You can get me on Facebook, Ntsako Ngamla.
Absolutely, alrighty. You heard it from the man. Now, Mr. Ntsako, please tell us, what does the buyer profile of the M3 actually look like? Is it someone that's working in corporate, they've got a pay slip and they're going to finance the car, or is it someone who's got a business and just comes in and buys the car cash? What have you seen from your experience?
Okay, so basically anyone can buy the car. You just have to afford it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you are employed, you have to be in line with affordability.
Yes.
Because we're talking close to 33,000 installment per month. So your salary should be 10% of what you're netting.
Absolutely.
Then when you own a business, you should have the financials. It makes it easy to get an approval when you have the financials. And then when you're self-employed, it becomes tricky, but then you need to provide us with a management account to show that there's accessibility of funds. And then cash buyer, contant.
Cash contant,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, you heard it from the man, Mr. Ntsako Ngamla. So thank you very much guys for watching. Until next time, take care.